Well, good morning, everybody. I was hanging out in the lobby, didn't even realize we were on the lobby. I was like, hey, we're waiting to greet people, and I go, they're done. I got to get up there. So, well, welcome, and we are starting this series called God on Film, and this happens. So I do this almost every year. Last year we skipped because I don't know why, but I think I did something else in July, and this time of the year. So, but this year we're doing it, and so it's a fun series. But sometimes it can be challenging. It can be a challenge because sometimes I don't necessarily like the movie. That can be a little difficult. If you don't like the movie, it becomes a little hard to preach about it and say, hey, look, you can find God here. But I'll just tell you, I think the movie is a great movie overall. It's not my type of movie. Anybody in here into dramas? Do you like dramas? Anybody like action movies? Anybody like horror type flicks? Any of those type of things? No. So anybody into the comedies? I hate to disappoint. We're not doing any comedies. So I know everybody's hand went up for comedies, but we are. So this series today we're doing Beauty and the Beast. Woohoo! Beauty and the Beast. Woo! That's what my wife says about us. I'm Beauty and she's Beast, right? That's why she's in the back. Woohoo! But in fact, that's completely opposite, to be honest with you. But I better fix that because she's going to be really upset with me if I don't say something about it. But next week we are doing Fast 8. So if you are a Vin Diesel fan, so we're doing that, and then the week after that we're doing Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And then the last week of this, we're doing Wonder Woman, and so it's kind of fun, and it kind of gives us just a way to where here's the problem, guys, and I'll just kind of start here, just kind of precursor why this is that most of you guys have no idea what K-Love is. You just have no idea. Most of you. Now, you maybe have started learning since you came here, but some of you guys don't know. So if you get in your car, like I've gotten in somebody's car, and I watched them change the radio station very fast. They're like, oh, they were listening to KSFM or K-Rock or just all these other things. And what happens is they're like, oh, pastor's coming, change the radio station. I got in somebody's car, and I think that they thought I was going to be judgmental. I got in the car, and I'm judging them now apparently, but I got in the car one time, and they were listening to one of these really liberal talk radio shows, and they changed it immediately as soon as I got in. I go, hey, I was interested in that. He goes, oh, no, you were just trying to discredit it. I go, I just want to hear, I said, just because I'm a pastor doesn't mean I'm always on that far conservative side. I mean, sometimes I tend to be a little more balanced. But see, the problem is that when we're doing all these things and we're looking at all of it, we tend not to see God in those areas. Because here's really the problem is that we're not looking for him. When you go and watch a movie, you're not looking for God while watching the movie. If you go sit down in the theater, and granted, there are some movies that it's never going to happen. There's just some movies you go to, and if you're trying to find God in Superbad, it's not going to happen. If you're trying to find God in Pineapple Express, it's not going to happen. If you're trying to find God in a place where, and maybe you can find some, maybe I'll go back and I'll look and see if I can find something there. But I think it's a whole bunch of drug jokes is really what it is, instead of really being able to find what you're really trying to seek in this relationship. But, and I've used this analogy before, is that, so there's really two different types of, let's just use these two different birds. And so there's vultures and there's hummingbirds, right? And they're kind of on opposite spectrums. But see, every day, a vulture goes out, and what does a vulture go to find? It goes to find death and destruction and and that's where it's going to find its meal at. And well, a hummingbird is completely opposite. What does a hummingbird go looking for? It's definitely not going to look for some carcass to go eat. It's looking for beauty. It's looking for flowers. It's looking for sweet nectar. And see, the thing, my question is that when you're walking out of the door, what are you going looking for? What is it that you're going to pursue? Are you out looking for the nectar and the beauty, or are you out looking for the death and destruction? And because they both find it. See, the thing is, vultures and hummingbirds they both succeed in their mission every day. They both find it. What is it that you're out looking for? What is it that you open up the door and you go, I'm going to go and seek God's beauty? And when you do that, you can find God everywhere. You can find him in the most amazing places and also in the deepest, darkest places. When you go to, you talk to people in prison and you have conversations with them, and guess what? They find God there. A place of destruction, a place that's usually in torment, and they find God there because they go looking at that point. And sometimes they're not even looking. God finds them there. It's just like, hey, I got your attention. Here you go. You had to slow down. And see, that's the other thing is that usually we live our lives so fast. We're going in such a fast direction that we miss the exit. We just miss it. And we don't even know that it's even coming up sometimes. We get on it's like we're living in the fast lane. Everything is, every day we have no margins. And I don't know if you were, when I was a kid, the teacher, so we use this white line paper. And if you held the white line paper up to the right light, or even if it was sitting down, you could see the red margin on one side, and through the paper, you could see the other margin, right? You could see it pass through. And what did the teacher always tell you? Stay between the margins. Stay between the margins. And see, here's why they would tell you that. It's because every once in a while, you might have to go outside of the margin in order to finish in what you had to do, but not on a consistent basis. Stay within the margins so that way you have room on either side to be able to do things. And in our lives, we don't have any margins. Like you talk to people in our lives, instead of having margin, instead of being able to occasionally have to do something that runs over, almost all of us have lives that are continuously running over. We don't have any margin in our lives. Now, this is a whole different series, whole different message, but what is it that we're seeking? What is it that we're going after? And do you actually have the room in your life for margin? If you have something that runs over, most of us don't. Most of us are playing mom's taxi or dad's taxi, going to this, going to that, running around doing all these different things, and we don't have time to do what God has asked us to do, let alone actually see him. Life is passing by too fast. It's just going in such a direction that we're just going, boom, it's over. And we're going, what happened this week? I was just talking to somebody. I go, what'd you guys do on Sunday? And he goes, ooh, I don't even know. I go, you went and did something special on Sunday. You don't even know what it was. By the way, anybody remember that last Sunday was Father's Day? Yep. We forgot. I was like, man, we're already on it's gone, over. You don't even remember what you did. You're like, man, it was a special day. We went out and did this, and this. I had to remind them of all those things. I'm like, man, I know your life better than you do. That's because that's how busy we live our lives. I just happen to be a really good Facebook troll, apparently. I'm just but that's what ends up happening. So as we're diving into this, today is a little different. So as we're watching this, today is a little movie heavy. So by the way, I'll just tell you, there's 9 minutes of movie in this. And so for me, that means I'm going to talk a little bit, but also not a lot. So I'm going to try and condense this down into 9 minutes of movie. You're going to watch this and you're going to be like, why are we watching some of this? And I go, because I thought it was relevant. And so I want you to actually listen to the words as we're doing this. So as you're watching, make sure that you're listening to what's being said, not just the visual effects on this, but also listening to what the narrator says or what the actors say during this. And also pay attention. Take some time, slow down. Maybe you've never seen it this way. And anybody in here, have you seen the movie Beauty and the Beast? Anybody? Okay. Not the 2000 version, the 2017 version. Anybody seen the brand new one, the one that okay. So we're stealing clips from that, and we're not stealing, so we're watching, so we're going to watch roughly 9 minutes of that today. And we're going to watch it in three different gaps of it. And as we're watching this, I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of things that I saw while going through this. Now, I'm going to tell you, it's about halfway through this, I believe an explosion needs to happen. They should be dancing around on the floor, and then the whole building, just the castle gets leveled, and the movie's over, and we're done. That's what I think. But there's more to the story than that, right? There's more to the story than what happens here. And so what I want us to do is kind of focus on what happens here. Now, my wife took me out of my whole little mode here. Anyway, here's our precursor to this movie before we dive in. I've talked long enough. And in our lives, we have gone to this mindset of a movie I do like is Nemo. Anybody ever seen Finding Nemo? Most of you seen this one. What do the pelicans say in this? Come on, help me out a little more. They don't just say it once. It gets irritating, right? I want to get irritating. Mine, 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 mine. See? It gets irritating, right? Right there. Anyway, so but this is how we live our lives. We live our lives in a my society. We want it now. I mean, it's going to be my way. And we've actually gotten to the point where we live our lives that not only is it my stuff, but your stuff is my stuff. And that's what my wife, she's not back there. She's like, that's right, your stuff is my stuff. But that's how it is that we've turned our lives into that. We've turned our lives into it, and really, we don't actually love one another. We just kind of go, what can I use you for to get stuff for me? And whether that's self-fulfillment or happiness, we don't actually kind of. So here's the thing: if you're taking notes, don't be selfish. Really, it's a pretty thing. Don't be selfish. So this clip, as you're watching this, you're going to see the repercussions of being selfish.
Once upon a time in the hidden heart of France, a handsome young prince lived in a beautiful castle. Although he had everything his heart desired, the prince was selfish and unkind.
Master, it's time.
He taxed the village to fill his castle with the most beautiful objects.
Oui, maître.
And his parties with the most beautiful people.
Anxious to shine, look for a sign that enhances chances. She'll be his special one. What a display! What a breathtaking, thrilling array! Every prince, every dog has his day. Let us sing with passion, gusto, fit to bust. Oh no, what a care in the world!
Then one night, an unexpected intruder arrived at the castle, seeking shelter from the bitter storm. As a gift, she offered the prince a single rose. Repulsed by her haggard appearance, the prince turned the woman away. But she warned him not to be deceived by appearances. For beauty is found within. When he dismissed her again, the old woman's outward appearance melted away, to reveal a beautiful enchantress. The prince begged for forgiveness, but it was too late. For she had seen that there was no love in his heart. As punishment, she transformed him into a hideous beast and placed a powerful spell on the castle and all who lived there. As days bled into years, the prince and his servants were forgotten by the world, for the enchantress had erased all memory of them from the minds of the people they loved. But the rose she had offered was truly an enchanted rose. If he could learn to love another and earn their love in return by the time the last petal fell, the spell would be broken. If not, he would be doomed to remain a beast for all time. As the years passed, he fell into despair and lost all hope. For who could ever learn to love a beast?
Yeah, I know. My wife learned. She learned how to love a beast. But see, here's the thing. As you're watching this, there's one thing that if you hear this and then lightning strikes, open the door and do whatever they say. That's just, it's just no, I'm kidding. Anyway, but as you're watching this, as you see this, He was selfish. Everything was about him. It was, it was like, let me have all these people dancing. Let me have people, I'm going to tax people. It's all about me. And what it says is that she saw that his heart was just, it wasn't pure. He didn't have any, it was all about him. And when you look at Philippians 2 and you look at verses 3 and 4, it says, don't do anything for selfish purposes, but with humility, think of others as better than yourselves. Let's just stop there for a second. Think of others as better than yourself. Think of others better than yourself. What do we think of others as? How do we see them? What are we looking at? Do we think of others as being better than ourselves, or do we think of others as going, oh, nope, it's just completely my way. I'm going to do what I want to do, or do we? Give me an example. And I use my life a lot of times as kind of as this living testimony to how not to do things sometimes. It was probably years ago. I was leaving a parking lot or I was leaving a gas station, and somebody walked up to the car and said, "Hey, can you give me $1? I need to get gas." And what I did was, instead of giving them that $1 and going, "Hey, I'm going to do this to help them," I gave them the $1 to please get away from me. It's kind of what the mindset was. I don't want to deal with you, and I want you to move on your. And it wasn't to go, "Hey, how can I help? And how can I help you get from where you're at?" It became very, I'm really worried about my time and what I can do. And so we have to change this. And see, the thing is, we get to this level of margin where we're going, I don't have time for this. Well, we have to create that time. It said, instead of each person watching out for their own good, watch out for what is better for others. What is better for others? What is it that we have that's been given to us that could be better for other people that we're not doing, that we're just going, nope, it's all about me, and our selfish kind of lifestyle. We go, I want to take care of me. I want me to have the best. I want my stuff to be the best. I want this, and whatever those things look like, it actually makes it to where we actually interfere and stop doing what God has actually asked us to do. It says, therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. So let's ask this. As you're watching this, did you see any of those things from him before being turned into a beast? Do we see any of those things? Do we see compassion? Do we see kindness? Do we see humility? Do we see gentleness and patience? And so we can see what the repercussions of that action tends to be. As we do this, we can see that it pushes us further and further away from where we actually want to be at. It drives us actually into this deeper, darker place. The problem is that these actions, when we don't do this, we don't have, in the movie you see that he's turned into a beast, but most of us are actually being turned into a beast by ourselves. We are actually going in that direction because we don't act this way. We act we go, it's all about me, and we don't act with kindness, and we don't act with compassion, and we don't act with humility and gentleness and patience. We want it now. We want it our way. We've gotten to this point where we've taken the Burger King commercial literally. Have it your way. That's what we've done with life. We go, I'm going to have it my way. And we expect the people around us to understand that. And that's really just not how it works. And most of us, we think that we're the leading actor of this story. We think that life, and it's life, and Mike is the leading actor, and Melissa's is his is actress, and the leading actors and actresses. And what the thing is that we're not the leads. We're supporting actors and actresses. God is the lead, and we're here to do that for Him, and we're here to support and actually reach people for Him. And we don't do it by being mean people. We do it by being gentle and compassionate and having patience with others. I just tell you, it doesn't work the other way. The Bible's fairly clear. It says, live in harmony with one another. It says, do not be proud, but be willing to associate with people of a low position. Do not be conceited. Took my wife 10 years to fix the last line. Do not be conceited. Man, for me, right? Oh, okay. I know. See, it's going to take you 11 years now. See, stick around. No, but see, the thing is that a lot of times we are arrogant. We look at people and we judge them almost instantaneously. We go, it's going to be my way. And we put them in two different categories: better than us, worse than us. That's just what we do with people. We look and go, oh, no, they're in better shape than I am. At least I'm not that bad. And that's kind of where we're at. And see, the point is that makes it to where we're judging everybody, and then we're conceited about it, because then we go, well, I'm not there, but man, I'm certainly a lot better looking than them. And that's how we live our lives. In almost all direction. with everything, with how we interact with people, with what we expect from them. We go, I would have gave this, I would have done that, I would have, those are all things that we put into place instead of actually doing what we're asked to do, which is live in harmony with one another. What does that mean to live in harmony? That means you don't cause conflict. That means that you help one another. That means that everybody has a happily ever after. That's what we're all trying to get everybody to, right? Everybody having a happily ever after. And I know that they're going, no, nobody gets a happily ever after. In fact, we do get a happily ever after. It's called heaven and paradise. We're going to paradise. That's our happily ever after. We're trying to get everybody there. Well, let's put all kinds of obstacles in the way. I'll be a jerk. They'll hate me, which will make it to where we have conflict, and we'll never actually get to where we're supposed to be going. Oh. Let us not become arrogant, or make each other angry, or be jealous of each other. Man, just kind of talked about that, right? Let us not become arrogant. I'm better than you. Some others might be better than me, but I am definitely better than you. And we get to this point where my wife will tell you that I will argue just because I like arguing. She'll tell you that. And some people are like that. We argue just because we like to argue. But what does that do? I don't care what argument it is. What happens in there someplace that creates conflict and anger? That's what it does. Every argument does that. The debate team, they walk away and they go, so angry at them. But that's what it causes. We're supposed to live in harmony, help one another, grow one another. Here's kind of the thing is that if you're filling in your blanks here, we're supposed to love like family. We're supposed to love each other like family. Do you love your neighbor like family? Do you love the people around you like family? What are you willing to do? So in this next clip, as you're watching this, family does things that are kind of, you kind of look and go, what is wrong with you? Why would you do that? Why would you make that decision? Run this clip.
Pa, is that you?
Bill, how did you find me?
Your hands are ice. We need to get you home.
Bill, you must leave here at once. This castle is alive. Now go before he finds you.
Who? Who's there? Who are you?
Who are you?
I've come for my father.
Your father is a thief.
Liar!
He stole a rose.
I asked for the rose. Punish me, not him.
No, he means forever. Apparently that's what happens around here when you pick a flower.
A life sentence for a rose.
I received eternal damnation for one. I'm merely locking him away. Now, do you still wish to take your father's place?
Come into the light.
Choose.
Well, I won't let you do this. I lost your mother. I won't lose you too. Now go. Go.
All right, Papa, I'll leave. I need a minute alone with him. He's so cold-hearted, you won't allow a daughter to kiss her father goodbye. Forever can spare a minute.
When this door closes, it will not open again.
I should have been with you.
Now listen to me. It's all right. Now go. Live your life. And forget me.
Forget you. Everything I am is because of you.
I love you, Belle. Don't be afraid.
I love you too, Papa. I'm not afraid.
What?
You took his place.
He's my father.
He's a fool. And so are you.
Isn't that what we do with family? We do foolish things. Isn't that what happens? You know, perfect example. My daughter, and she may be watching, she may not. I don't, but right after her 16th birthday, 17, she's got a driver's license. She's driving along, and she'll tell you that she swerved to avoid a cat or something along those lines. She decided to drive into a light pole right out in front of the church. What did I do? I went out and did a foolish thing and got her another vehicle so that she could do something similar again. And see, the thing is that we don't actually we do foolish things for family. We love and we help and we go, here, let's do this. Why don't we do that with our neighbors? Why don't we do that with the people around us? Why don't we do that with our friends? Why don't we foolishly love them the way that we go off and we do things and we go, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this later, not financially wise, but I don't know how I'm going to pay for these things later, and then go off and actually take care of them and love them. It says love each other like the members of your family. Be the best at showing honor to each other. Be the best at showing each honor to each other. What does that mean? What does it mean to show honor? What does it mean to love on somebody? What does it mean to actually, when you think about this, when you see dignitaries travel to different countries, how are they received? With honor. And they show up. What do? They kick out the red carpet. They got, maybe they lay it out. They don't kick it out. That's what we do. We kick it out. We go, hey, you can walk across that. But they lay out the red carpet. They make it a grand thing. We don't do that for people. When people show up to our house, we've even got to the point where we don't clean up the living room anymore. We're just like, come on in. Don't worry about the wreck that just lived in. Come on. And where somebody important comes over, what do? You clean. You get the place ready. I'll tell you is that when my mother-in-law comes to visit, my wife is like, I just say she should live local. My mother-in-law should move around here so she could stop by all the time, because my wife goes on like this mission. She's like, all of a sudden, she's like private dirt inspector. She goes out and finds every bit of it. She's like, well, I got to clean this, I got to clean that. She cleans out the DVD player. I'm like, we haven't even used that in years. I know, that's why I got to clean it. It's like going through, and it's like she finds all of those things. And see, when somebody special and important comes over, you get the house ready. You treat that person with honor. Well, what are we doing? Well, are we treating people that way? Because that's what it says. It says, love each other like members of your family and treat them with honor. Man, do foolish things. Be willing to take their place in a prison cell because they did something for you. And we missed that. And see, we've gotten to this point. When did Outkast had a song that came out and said, "Hey y'all," right? And he says, "Hey neighbor, lend me some sugar." He was referring to something else, but we'll use that principle for. We'll use this. We'll use this principle for. When was the last time you actually asked your neighbor for anything? When was the last time you invited your neighbor over for dinner? When was the last time you invited your neighbor over to when you had you were watching the game or whatever? A lot of times we just don't even, we don't love them. We don't treat them like and that's the people that live next to us. Those are the people that live and years ago when I lived in an apartment, I didn't even know the people that lived on either side of me. I was like, man, hopefully we come in at different times, and that's kind of where our lives have gotten. We've gotten to this point where we've gotten this convenience to where the garage door open, we pull into the driveway, the garage door opens, we pull in, we let the garage door close behind us, then we'll get out of the car and go inside. We don't even get out of the car and before the garage door closes. We're like, I'm going to wait for it to close, make sure it's safe, and then we go inside. We've forgotten what it means to actually have community and to love the people next to us and to be able to have this relationship. I do like movies, and so I'm going to bring one back from it's an older movie, but it's kind of close to my heart. Maybe you've seen the movie Blast from the Past. It's got Brendan Fraser in it, and I used to watch all of his movies because I did look fairly similar to him when I was younger, and probably look a little similar to him now. And I'd watch all the movies and try and emulate how he talked. I thought it was going to help me in some relationship or something like that, and it didn't. But I as I watched that, there was this in this movie. I'll give you a little bit of the beginning of it. Is that it's 1960. It's in the 60s when this is happening, and so the country's kind of in a place of we could be going to nuclear war at any time, and the father in this relationship builds a bomb shelter in the backyard, and he makes this bomb shelter to where it has enough food, has plants to where that are recycling themselves and growing, and so he gets 20 years or whatever he needs to get out of this. I think it's 20 or 30 years, and so he raises, a plane crashes in the backyard, they all dive into the bunker, and so they're in there for 20 years. The problem is, he thought it was a nuclear explosion, not a plane in his backyard. He thought that a nuclear bomb had gone off, and all of a sudden the world had been destroyed, and they were the last living people on it. 20 years later comes upon, and he opens up the door, and he goes upstairs, and he opens up inside of a bar, and he freaks out, and he thinks that the people are aliens. People from 20 years ago, if they were to walk in now, they would think that we were aliens. They'd be like, what is wrong with these people? There is something wrong. And he gets terrified, and he goes back down to his bunker, and he sets the time limit for another 5 years, because he goes, there is something wrong with the people up there. They are mutants, is what he comes out and he says. There is something wrong. They don't know how to act. They don't know how to talk. They don't know any of these things. And granted, he didn't find the best person when he came out the first time. But that's the problem, though, is that if you look back at it, we have gotten out of being community-based and having this life where we love with one another to where it's all about us. It's not about loving each other like family. We have to get back to that community. We have to get back to actually doing life. And so I encourage you, watch that movie. That one's good. Anyway, the problem is we treat everybody like neighbors. Or we treat everybody like enemies instead of neighbors. Everybody tends to be an enemy. And see, even when that comes up, Jesus kind of knew what he was talking about. And he says, but I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who harass you. Anybody got a neighbor that harasses them? Do you love them? Maybe you got great neighbors. Maybe, but a lot of times we don't. We don't have great neighbors. We don't have people that we love on. We just have these people that are, and maybe that's our own doing. Maybe we didn't allow us to have great neighbors. We created situations to where we weren't very lovable, and the neighbors recognized that very fast. We weren't very lovable, and we ended up creating conflict and hate between the two of us, and instead of trying to go, hey, how do we fix that or how do we mend it, we've just gotten to this point where we ignore one another. And we treated each other and we created enemies. And so we're called to have this, we're supposed to love our enemies. And in fact, the Bible tells us to have mercy on your enemies. Have mercy on your enemies. This next clip, as you're watching through this movie and as you watch Beauty and the Beast and as you sit there and you can see the transition here. And so this is from the end of the movie, and as you're watching it, Beast has this moment of mercy, as you're watching it, and he goes, hey, let's let the clip do the talking for me.
I'm coming for you, Beast! Came back!
I tried to stop them!
Stay there! I'm coming! Please, I'll do anything. Don't hurt me, Beast.
I am not
See, as you watch that, you know, the Bible tells us in Luke 6:28, it says, bless those who curse you and pray for those who mistreat you. And so that's exactly what happens. But the next verse is even better for it. I kind of picked out, it's Romans 12:20. And it says, instead, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. And if he's thirsty, give him a drink. By doing this, you will pile burning coals of fire upon his head. And the reason why I pull this out, and think about this, is literally, this is God's way of having some vengeance back here, right? You know, you shoot me twice, I drop you off a bridge. You know, and the clip kind of comes to this thump. That's what it ends at. And so, so think about that, is that we have to allow God to have the revenge. You know, and see, God has this amazing, he really does get the ultimate revenge. One is because if that person doesn't repent and say they're sorry and truly change in their heart, where do they go? They're fully separated from him forever. They're fully separated, and that alone is hell. Let alone before going to the place of torment and destruction and hell and fiery place that the Bible speaks of. And so you see this and you go, well, if by me loving on them, they get reminded of the place they're going to go by not doing what they're supposed to do, by not repenting and not following along, then isn't that all worth it at that point? They get this reminder. It's like piling burning coals on their head. That's the mindset they get. By doing this, God gets not only does he get the glory, but he gets to have revenge for you. And see, the problem is we want the revenge. We really want that. We find some sort of weird satisfaction in having it. We go, yeah, I got you back. You know, and it's like see, here's the thing though. The Bible also tells us you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. And what does that mean? So if you're reaping destruction, if you're reaping pain and anger, if that's what you're planting, if that's what you're going out and that's what you're sowing pain, anger, destruction, you're sowing all that. What do you plan on reaping? You know, nobody ever goes out and plants corn in the ground and goes, man, I hope those tomatoes grow really well. That doesn't happen. Nobody ever goes out and goes, I'm going to go plant this squash over here. Man, I can't wait to see this shade tree show up. It doesn't go that direction. You put in what you put, even like you're looking at me confused, right? You're like, well, why would that ever happen, Mike? Well, why would it happen that if you continue to treat people with anger, that people are going to be like, I love you so much. You're such a pleasant person. Man, I can't wait to go skipping down the street with you. No, that's not going to happen. They're going to be like, I'll never talk to you. I hate you. Why would they show up and be like, oh, I can't wait to spend more time with you. You're such a pleasant person. You're not. Now, you ever hear the line, a smile is contagious? Right? Well, why do you think that is the case? Because somebody sees a smile, you don't go, you have to. You're like, what am I going to do here? You don't smile. Somebody smiles at you, you're like, you scowl at them. You don't do that. You're like, you give a smile in return. You know, it's like, guys, instead of the smile thing, you know, I know some of you women are like, I better not smile back because they'll think I'm flirting with them. No, but that's what happens. And guys, we're walking along and, you know, when you give somebody a heads up, what are you expecting back? You expect one back. You're not looking for a conversation. You're not like, hey, what's up? You know, it's kind of like you walk past it, it's not like, hey, let's talk for 5 hours. You know, that's not what you're after. It's kind of what you reap what you sow. What are you putting out? Because that's what you're going to get back. You see what happens here. You see what he's putting out is anger. You know, he's even after being given grace, he still is with this destruction and this. You know, I've got to kill. I've got to get rid of this. Well, what do you think he's going to get back? What do you think is going to happen? In our lives, that's what happens with us. You look at our lives. We go out and we go, hey, I want to do this. Well, you better be treating people right if you're trying to get it. And it just comes down to how are you doing things, and really, what are you expecting to get back? Because if you start looking at it going, I better start doing the right things so the right things happen to me. It's just kind of one of those, you know, we call it the golden rule, we call it whatever you want to call it. You know, it's you reap what you sow. What are we sowing? What are we putting out there? You know, I tell you is that as I go through and as I was watching this, and I'll tell you, I am not a fan of these type of movies. Just not. You know, I mean, and I'll watch them, and because I'm just a movie junkie. But I'm not a fan of this type of. I like, you know, like I said, in the first scene, about 30 seconds into this thing, an explosion could have happened. They could have ran the ending credits, and I would have been, man, that was a great movie. You know, it could have been a whole 30-second thing. You know, and I would have been ecstatic about it. But see, really, when we go looking to try and find God in places, when we go, like, if our intent is to go out and we're trying to find God, and I watched it, and so I picked three places out of the 9 that I found where I could use as a example. But I can do that almost in any movie. I can turn on any movie and almost find it. I can go through and be like, if I'm seeking God, I can find it. What are you seeking? What is it that when you're watching this, what are you seeking? Do you see you know, I had people ask me, they go, Mike, what are you going to talk, you know, there's magic and there's evil and there's spirits and all this stuff in here. And I go, I'm not seeking that out of it. I'm looking for God in it. You know, I had somebody ask me when we first started doing movie nights, they go, would you show a Harry Potter type movie in the park? That's not very representative of the church. And I go, that's representative of our community. Why wouldn't we, you know, what do you want me to show out there? I mean, you know, are we really want nobody showing up to the movie night? You know, is that what we want? You know, hey, let's all watch Courageous. While Courageous is a great movie, our community isn't going to show up for that. We have to reach them where they're at and love them and show them how to grow from that point forward. Paul says, go out and be like them, but don't become them. Well, I guess what I'm trying to prove to you is back at this point, I told you, we can be vultures or we can be hummingbirds. What is it that we're trying to find? What is it that we're seeking? Because if you watch the movie, you can find God in it. You can seek him and go, I'm going to find the beauty in this. Or you can go out and be seeking that destruction and that death, and you can continue looking for that. You can be the vulture going out there and finding death and destruction, because you will find it. It's out there each and every day. Look at our news channels. Turn on the news today. Watch it. How much good news do you see on it? Do we think that good news doesn't happen? Good news is happening all over. Good news is happening all over the place, all of the time. And it's just not what sells. They can't make any money off good news. They make money off of bad news. They make money off destruction, because that's what we tend to go seeking. You know, anybody in here, you know, by the way, guys, if you didn't know, it's NASCAR weekend, and so that's where you know. And why does anybody watch NASCAR? Like, man, that was fast over there, Will. You're like, hey, I was waiting for that. That's the only reason why I watch it. But that's the thing, is that nobody ever wants to see somebody drive in circles making left-hand turns. What's the desire behind that? Oh, they're making another left-hand turn, babe. You got to get in here and watch this. Come in here and take a look. Nobody does that. Everybody's waiting for the destruction. Everybody's waiting for the car. And then when the destruction happens, you go, I hope they're okay. Really? Why would you hope for destruction and then go, I hope they're okay? You might as well go all in. I hope that everything is wrecked in that car. He went through the windshield and ended up in the stands. That's what you're hoping for, though. You want to see something catastrophic. That's what you're looking for. You'd watch that 3 or 4 times. You'd be like, wait, DVR that. Roll that back a little bit. We've got to check that out again. What are we seeking? See, if we go out and we seek the best out of it, though, if we walked in and go, hey, NASCAR would change that immediately, by the way. If we stopped attending because the wrecks stopped happening, we would stop. It would dramatically change what would happen. They wouldn't come in, they wouldn't be coming out and going, hey, I want to say thank you for my Chevy sponsored by Penske, all these other things. They'd come out and be like, I'd like to thank, Fisher Price and whatever else it is, because that would be the type of things that would be out sponsoring it. It wouldn't be the opposite direction. It'd be things that would be safety and not about going faster, but about, hey, I'd like to thank the people that put these really nice soft tires in this track wall, and they don't do that. It's about how, make the car go faster, make the wrecks, and then try and keep them alive. Because we seek that destruction. A hummingbird goes out and seeks beauty, goes out and looks for it, goes out and tries to find the best. What is it that we're pursuing? What are you after? Are you pursuing beauty, or are you pursuing the negatives? When you're watching on TV, what are you pursuing? What do you see? What are you after? When you turn on your television and you go, hey, I'm watching, I talk to people and they watch one of these shows. Is it Lucifer? Is it, and they go, it's such a bad show to watch. I go, what are you watching it for? Well, are you watching it for the badness in it, or are you trying to seek the good out of it? What are you watching? What mindset are you when you turn it on, and what are you seeing out of it? Because there's a form of entertainment. There just is, and so what are you trying to seek out of these things? And I'll tell you this, if you feel guilty about watching something, then you should probably turn it off. If you feel that guilt inside of you, you're like, man, I shouldn't be watching this. I'll just kind of touch on this, and then I'll finish up. But I watch all kinds of movies. And so one of the movies that I just purchased recently came on, and as we're watching it, it had nudity in it. And my wife was sitting next to me, and I instantly felt guilt. I instantly felt it. Well, what do? Do we turn it off, or do we keep watching? What happens? What happens when that or you go like, oh, I didn't. I let it play, and it wasn't like bad nudity. It wasn't like, hey, it was nudity. And then finally she got up, and I was like, oh, that's time to turn it off. But did we wait for that long and go, oh, I went too far, or did when we initially felt that twinge of guilt, did we go, I got to stop right now? I'm not supposed to be watching this. I'm not supposed to be doing this. I'm not supposed to be listening to this. Most of the time, entertainment's entertainment. It is. It's what we're seeking out of it. What direction are we going with it? I can tell you is that you can find God on almost any movie that you watch. But you have to be seeking him. You have to be looking for it. When you walked in, did you go walk in, and when you went, a lot of you guys saw this movie already. When you walked in, did you go seeking God when you watched it? Or you're like, woohoo, let's go see how they remade the cartoon. That's got to be the way. You got to go. If you're going to seek God out of it, you got to go and seek. Because when I watched this, I watched it with one intent. I needed to find clips where God was moving in this movie. That's the intent that I watched it in. I watched it and I said, I'm going to find God moving in this movie. It happens. And guys, I'll tell you is that there's only 3 of them. I have 9 of them. So we could run this thing for a couple more hours if we want to. I got plenty of time, and I love to talk. So let's just start it up. Let's just do this. But that's what happens is that I can, and I'll tell you over the next couple of weeks we have these other movies that are coming up. So we have Fast 8, which is next week, and then the week after that we're going to be doing Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and then the last one is Wonder Woman. And so what I encourage you to do, so 2 of those aren't out on DVD yet, but what I encourage you to do is I encourage you to watch them and see if you can see where you can find, and I'm not, the networks aren't paying me or anything, I'm just encouraging you to do it to see if you can find God moving in this movie. Beat me. This last one, I found 9. Can you beat me there? Can you go back and watch this again and find 12? And then let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. Let's see what you can find. Let's talk about it. Maybe you watched it already and you go, I already got one on my mind right now. Well, I'm going to start kind of like a Facebook discussion tomorrow, just kind of get it and going, hey, let's talk about it. Where did you find God in this movie? And then we'll talk about it over the next couple of weeks and going, hey, where did you find, I brought out a couple points. Where did you find them at? So if you're not a fan of our Facebook page, follow us there, and let's look at those things. Let's see what we can come up with. I have a couple things. So before we pray and we take off, I have a couple announcements. I generally do them at the beginning before I start, but I wanted to talk a little more about the movies before we got in. So here, I'm going to talk about those now. So number one, this Saturday. So Saturday at Laurel Creek Park, which is right over here. Right over here by I mean like 5 rows of houses down. We're going to do a barbecue at the park. So from 1 to 3, we're going to come in and so we usually do a lot of when we started as a church, we did a lot of barbecues. We did a lot of, hey, let's go out and just go be part of our community. Well, it's 4th of July weekend, so we want to do. We're going to do a couple of them. We have a lot of events packed in the summer, but this is one that we want to go out and July 1st, Laurel Creek Park. And so here's the thing: there's no cost. There's no charge, there's no nothing. What we ask is that if you can bring a side dish, bring a side dish. If you can't, then show up. Just come out, hang out with us. We'll have a couple bounce houses. We'll do something. I don't know what we're gonna do yet. We'll have some stuff. It's gonna be a nice day. It's only supposed to be in the 80s, and it's just gonna be a time to be able to come in and hang out and really just have hot dogs, hamburgers, and Susan's already committed to bring chili, so you get some of that. The other thing is that 4th of July is on Tuesday, and so not this Tuesday, but obviously after that. And we have 2 things that we have going on. So one, we are participating in the 4th of July parade for the city of Fairfield, and so we'd like some people to volunteer and want to help build a float and want to help do some of that. We're kind of behind the 8 ball because we probably should have built it like a month ago, and at least had some design ideas and sketches going. So we need some help for that, and we'd love for you guys to join us, come out and be part of the parade, and really just kind of go out there and kind of get some exposure in the community. The other thing that we're doing, same thing on 4th of July, is that we are at the Sassoon Fireworks. So we're going to have a booth down there, and we're just going to love on our community, and we're going to give away water. So we're just going to give away water bottles down at the waterfront. So as people are walking by and they're hot and can't afford to buy a soda or whatever it is, we're just going to give them water. So we're looking for people who want to volunteer, kind of come down, talk about who we are as a church, and also get some exposure for our Christian school that we're starting. So those are things that are important that I want to talk about. There's a couple other things that Melissa's going to come out and talk to you about. We have a trip coming up. Yesterday, we went to Raging Waters. Anybody go to Raging Waters with us yesterday? Anybody? So we took 50 people is what we took. And we're going to Great America on the 7th or 8th or something like that. And so we would love to take more than that. We want to take more people. And we're excited to be able to go out. We had a blast. We just really went out and did life. Everybody I talked to got sunburned. I was like, man, so much for sunblock, but everybody got burnt. And then my last thing that I want to talk about is, so you guys may or may not know the Lost family, and he ran away on me. Like, he knew that it was happening. He knew that it was getting ready to come down. And so they have been here like 3-4 years now. 4 years they've been attenders here, and this is their last Sunday with us today. They are moving back down to San Diego area. That's where they're from. He's going back to school, but you guys, it has been amazing, and it's just been a pleasure getting to know them and being able to talk with them. He went on a deployment, and we've just been able to really help and love on this family, and we're thankful that God brought them here. They definitely served a purpose here. They came here and they were part of a small group and really helped us in kids ministry and helped with Awanas when it initially started. And it's just really been amazing and a joy to just kind of see them and their family grow here. And then also getting a chance to meet baby Charles and and seeing him for the first time, and really, it's just been really a pleasure of having you guys here. And we're thankful that you guys were here and made this your home while you were here. And we're sad to see you go, but we know that God has amazing things in store for you down there. So thank you guys. With all that, I should probably pray because I went through a whole gamut of stuff. But let's pray and then Melissa will come up and lead us in our tithes and offering. Father, thank you so much for helping us see just the direction that you can take us in movies, that you are everywhere. You are moving everywhere, and you use all things for good. Father, thank you for really just allowing us to be able to come together and have service like this, and really to start seeing how you're moving in different places, whether it's in Hollywood, whether it's on the radio station. If we are seeking you, we will find you. You say, if I knock on the door, open it for me. And really, God, we're just opening the door so that you can come in, and we allow you into our lives. And we ask that you just make yourself so much more aware, that we are so much more aware for you, that we see you, that we can engage with you, that everywhere we go and everything we do, that we are seeking you. We're the hummingbird pursuing you and trying to find that whatever it takes to be, or whatever it takes to really find the good in all things. The good that you have in store for us. And Father, I know that a lot of times we run from this. We're selfish, and we tend to do things where it's all of a mind mentality instead of a you mentality, doing it for you and loving people for you, because that's what you've asked us to do. Father, help us refocus and help us do what you've asked us to do and go in the direction that you've asked us to go. And let us take the spotlight off of us and put it onto you, that our actions glorify you. Father, we're so thankful that we get this opportunity to make this shift and that we can start seeing and go, I find the good in all things, and I find the good, I see you moving in everywhere and everybody and every place, and I just have to be looking for that. Father, help open our eyes. Let us see the way that you see. It's in your Son, Jesus' name, that we ask and that we pray. Amen.